Hello everyone, just wanted to show you a video. It's a kind of a lengthy video if you're interested in it. It's basically changing the front two brake lines off a 92 Ford Ranger. There are other videos on YouTube that show different 90s Rangers, changing them out. But it's not really as specific to my situation. So what I've encountered with my situation is that for whatever reason the previous owner of the vehicle had that frame where the brake line is supposed to be I guess you could say clipped on, was kind of welded off, and a new frame was bought and replaced. And we had a hard time, this was in the passenger side front, and we had a hard time removing it because of course, you know, it wasn't attached to anything, so removing it was a bit hard to do. I had a friend of mine help me out with this, and if the recording is not that great, I apologize about that too as well. I did my best to hold the camera so that it can kind of get the moments up. But so we're going to show you what we went through changing the two front lines. As you can tell, that one right there, that's where he actually broke the front right brake line trying to get that off. He kind of showed that for an instant. And now this is the front left passenger side. This is what it should look like attached to the frame where the spring is right there, the bracket right there. And this one should be like everyone else's. You should have a clip in the back that you need to get with needle nose pliers or some sort of screwdriver, or any way that you can. I mean, we've tried it all. We've tried needle nose pliers, we've tried screwdrivers, we've tried punches, we've tried everything, and it's just all in how you can get it out. It's just basically a clip to the brake line. Once you get that off though, it is pretty similar to remove, pretty easy to remove, just like everybody shows in their videos. But I guess the hardest part is just kind of trying to get the brake lines off from the copper lines. The other one, like I mentioned, was seized, and it was and we had to break it off. So what I ended up doing, you see these are pictures here of compressed fittings that were on the truck previous to that. So the previous owner tried replacing, you know, some brake lines, and instead just did what I'm doing right now, which is using compressed fittings instead of replacing the whole line. You may ask, why didn't we just replace the whole entire line? Well, we don't really live in a place where it's very humid. It's only seized because of how old it is. So I actually bought this compressed fitting from Amazon it's a steel, it's not brass or copper, it's a steel compression fitting. It's really good, and we actually were able to use the frame to actually, you know, put the new brake line on, even though the old piece was welded off somehow. And this is basically how to use I guess you could say a copper line tube cutter. And we bought the small piece from Advanced Auto Parts. I don't think O'Reilly had it. They all had big pieces. I just wanted a small piece because it's not a lot that I need to replace. But generally speaking, that's how you could do it. You just basically buy the smallest piece that you need with both ends already flared. Either that, or you can buy that expensive kit that wants you to flare it on your own. I don't think that's necessary since the parts stores already sell them flared. Basically, they sell them to all and every sizes. They're not really truck specific. They just let you go to the back and look at the size of, you know, line that you need. And that's what I did. And so we just basically, you know, bought a copper cutter, cut that line right there, and then put it back on the compression fitting that I bought from Amazon, which is steel. It's not brass. Once again, everybody says brass fittings aren't good. There are a couple of them that have been on this truck since I've owned it. That was from the previous owner, and they don't seem to be messing up in any way, shape, or form. So it actually does last, brass or not, but I'm trying out this steel fitting here, seeing if that works. And right now I'm just showing you that this brake line here can be cut, and this is from the store itself, with this little tool here. It's very cheap. Everything's very cheap. The piece of line was $5 at the parts store, and this tube cutter was also like $4 or $5, and that's all we needed. And the compression fitting was $7 on Amazon. That's basically it. Another reason why I didn't replace the entire brake line that was cut off was because it's got a lot of clips on the bottom end of the vehicle going from the master cylinder all the way down there. You'd have to take off each and every one. And like I said, I did a visual inspection and it seemed fine. We also ended up bleeding it later on, and you know, it seemed to pass through very, very well. So there was nothing wrong with the rest. But check yours though. If it does have free flowing, you have to bleed it with it off just to make sure that it does bleed properly. And what I'm going to show you here is basically if your clip broke, like mine was welded to the other brake line. I'm not going to take that off. So what we did, since we couldn't find brake line parts in our city, we just kind of, and the other one, the other brake line on the other side, we were able to, brake line clip, we were able to save. But this is the passenger side. This is the problematic one. And this is after we already attached the compression fitting to the line and the piece of line that we measured, of course. And we're gonna show you what to do if you don't have one of those brake line clips. This is basically all you need to do is just attach that on there, and he's gonna clip it to the frame. But of course, since we don't have the actual brake line clip, you can see that he's gonna, you know, MacGyver it and make it work for now until we ever have to change the brake lines in the future. Then of course, by then I'll have some hardware and I can just put it back on. So what he did was he loosened some of that spring that's all over the brake line, and you'll see once you remove the brake line if you ever have to go and do this. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully yours aren't as seized as mine was, but if it's original parts, more than likely it is going to be seized. Doesn't matter how much PB blaster you use on that thing. I've been doing it. Before we worked on this, I was spraying it every night, hoping it would help, and I guess it did help for the majority of them, but not for this one. So he's going to go ahead and it's already, right now it's clipped to the frame. The brake line has its own clip and it's on the frame, so we have that. But that extra clip is for the frame itself, the one I don't have, that the driver's side did have, and we're just, you know, kind of tying it together with that spring, which should be good enough. And at the end, we end up using the zip tie. So again, don't give up on this. Mechanics will do this for you, but they'll charge you a whole lot more, you know, because of time and labor that it's needed. And they look at old trucks. A lot of them won't even touch old trucks because they know that they're seized and it creates problems. But so that's the end result right there. He's gonna go and put in a zip line right there, and zip tie, and make sure that's done right. I mean, we tested it already. It's good. It worked. We've done the full right turn, left turn. We went through some bumps, and it still hasn't gone off. So it proves that that does work. You know, we could have also bought metal zip ties, but it was pretty late at night, and all the stores, every single store closes around 11 o'clock my time, which is pretty ridiculous because, you know, I'm not going to be working in 108-degree weather in the day because stores, you know, want to close early. So we're going to work at night when it's more possible for us, more easier, less, you know, less hot, more cool. But anyways, this is just some video of, you know, the work that we did for it. Now, I will be showing you how to bleed them also. In the end, I was not able to, in this video, bleed them because they were very seized as well too. So what I ended up having to do was buy new calipers and one wheel cylinder. This just shows you how to do it so you can bleed them yourself. Hopefully they're not as bad as mine was. To change out the caliper, I'm gonna put a video on that, or make a video of that, basically showing you how to do all this. But so just letting you guys know that, you know, if you can change the brake lines out, you do need to bleed all 4 brakes because you will have lost a lot of pressure from your master cylinder, and don't do the same mistake that I did. I ran out of time and I had to move the truck back somewhere else, and this master cylinder lost a lot of brake fluid, and it was just from one, very short distance. And even though it still had a little bit of brakes, I ended up blowing the master cylinder because it was so drained without fluid that it just didn't work anymore after I tried to rebleed the master cylinder, bench bleed it. So I had to buy a new one of those again. But yeah, just do the best that you can. I do recommend that you go underneath your Ranger and look for anything that's rusty and use the farm tractor spray paint to keep it from rusting in the future, especially if you live in a place where it snows and you get a lot of salt. It's going to help out with that. I just sprayed everything. It's basically a Craigslist rebuild of everything, and basically just keeps it on for longer. Just keep an eye on that. I don't live in a place where it snows. It gets really hot where I'm at, so the only thing I have to worry about is just doing it and then just checking on it maybe every year or so, making sure the paint didn't just chip off. That's about it though. But yeah, so I'll let you keep watching the video here, but not much to explain. Basically, he's just putting, PP Blaster on the bleeder screws to see if he can, be able to loosen it without breaking it. His fear was everything that he turned it's gonna break. It's gonna break because it's very seized. We did manage to get both bleeders in the front working, but because we had lost pressure to the master cylinder and the wheel cylinder in the back left driver's side where the drum is, that one, it was just extremely seized and nothing came out, and it broke when we tried to get it out. We just called it there, and that's my next video, and just replacing all those things there. So, but yeah, just keep watching here. I'll comment here in a little bit if I see something else different. There it is showing that this one broke. I believe this was from the driver's side. We tried to bleed the wheel cylinder from the brake drums, and it just broke off. So not a big deal. You can just take them off and take off the entire drum brakes.